Please welcome the director, James Marquand, and the stars of the film, Chris Mason, Lucien Laviscount, and Elliot Gleave. Thank you so much for coming down. How are you? You excited?
Absolutely. Ecstatic.
You're the director, you don't need to act. The rest of you, excited?
Yeah.
So much better. Listen, first of all, let's get a little insight into the film. Maybe we'll start with you, James. Give us a little insight into what this movie is and what it's about.
I think it's quite different compared to a lot of modern films at the moment. There's no flying saucers or things getting blown up. It's about three mates and a girl who sort of turns up out of the blue and how they deal with it, really.
I think one of the things that really struck me about the film is it genuinely looks like you guys are just mates. It is like, I mean, obviously it's a movie, but it does feel like we're just opening a window to your guys' lives. The chemistry between you guys is obviously very important. Was that always there, or were you like, do you know what, I'll put up with each other, but like we've got to pretend? It's acting.
It was kind of crazy. I think Elliot kind of brought everyone together. Before we started shooting, Elliot was like, look, listen, we didn't know him. I didn't know him from Adam before. Well, obviously didn't know him personally anyway. Knew his music and stuff like that. He was like, come over to the house, we'll have some food. And I think we just kind of gelled like from
we
day
had
one,
the
really.
read-through, we had some drinks together, and then, we came round to mine and we just kind of bonded.
Hey.
So that relationship you see in the film, it's real. Yeah.
Chris is like, yeah, I still.
Chris was acting, but we all like each other.
So, I mean, when it comes to the rehearsal process, how long did you get? Because I know it's 22-day shoot. I mean, that's a fast turnaround for a movie, for any movie. 22 days is very short. So, was there a particular point... You lot are going like, felt like forever.
It's felt like way longer.
Felt like forever. Especially the stuff in Ryan's flat. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So glad to leave that set.
We were basically stuck in the flat for like 3 days solid, and it was just one room, and we all got cabin fever. A few of the crew had to go with each other. It got a little bit heated. Some of us got drunk. Not me, not the actor. But it got a bit tough then. But the rest of it was great, and rehearsal period was basically just on the day. We'd have like whatever spare time we had to go through the scenes. You know what I mean? It was quite tough.
So was it one of those things, there was very little downtime? Are you guys constantly learning lines? Because I know from the fact, I got the chance to talk to the producer, and he was saying, like, stuff was still changing. You know, there were always ways of going, hey, we can adapt this scene. Was there a lot of ad-libbing? Were you allowed that process?
I mean, it was my first film, so I don't know how much ad-libbing there was compared to other films, but we were certainly given freedom to add a few bits in here and there. I mean, my character's, it's more like the light comic relief in what is otherwise... quite serious, real-life, everyday issues for, young people growing up in a city. But for me, I was obviously nervous going into it. I spent loads of time learning my lines, and then by the time I got down there, I kind of realised, do you know what? A lot of these actors, they know their lines, but they're focusing more on acting and, the characters. And that was probably my inexperiences. I was probably focusing too much on getting the lines out rather than being the character. That was for the first few days anyway. Once I got into it, I felt like I actually became this character.
So did you feel pressure particularly? Because you guys have been in plenty of stuff before. We know you guys quite well, but obviously we know you from music. You know?
I mean, I did a bit of acting as a kid. I suppose in a sense I've experienced a lot in terms of music videos. And that might help you in terms of positioning, knowing where the camera is, how to work the camera. But I'm not performing to camera in this film, so it's quite different. But these guys were really helpful. And... I was nervous just because I've got no experience compared to these guys, and I didn't want them to come in and go, who's this idiot? He's only in the film.
Not
because...
Not at all.
I know they weren't like that, but that was my thinking.
Yeah, Elliot came with this presence and this wisdom of just being and living in the life that he's had, and it kind of, we definitely all look towards Elliot for more advice than he probably looked towards. But I think it was just,
What advice on what, restaurants and...
Restaurants.
Yeah. He actually told me more restaurants in Liverpool than I know, so it was that was a good thing.
Yeah, I got us a booking at Jamie's Italian, and I don't think anyone else could have got that in this movie.
Did they abuse your we know example?
Not really.
I would have done.
I don't think anyone wants to abuse that.
Chris is like, yeah, we did.
My wife does. That's about it. No, it was good fun, and these guys are really helpful. And like you say, if I help them and with some wisdom in life. They helped me with wisdom in acting.
It was cool. It was like 5 in the morning. If someone would wake up with an idea or something, and was all staying in the same apartment block. And it became very easy and very apparent that everyone wanted the project to do very well. So someone will knock on someone's door at 5 a.m. and be like, yo, listen, I've got this idea for today. Let's pitch it to Jim when we get to set or whatever it might be. So it was all creating at the same time. It was quite beautiful.
I mean, and you were allowed to do that? Because obviously, like, this is Stephen Morris's film that, it's 6 years in the making to bring this film from his idea to the big screen. And then you wake up in the morning and go, Stephen, I don't want to worry you, mate, but I've had a better idea. He's in the room.
Here, be careful, he's here.
I'm looking around.
Is he open to that? And are you open to that, going, hang on a minute, that's a brilliant idea, damn you, I've got to restructure my entire day?
Yeah, I think for this it did suit it, and they basically left that to me to have that conversation with Stephen. But no, I think we kind of realised for it to work, it needed to feel really natural, and you did need to at least believe they were friends. Great thing is, by the time we were filming, they actually were, and I think for the film to work, it basically the film has to have like heart and soul, genuine, and so it does. Yeah,
So it's got loads of that.
Yeah, and I think that was what was refreshing, to make something that, it's quite a simple little love story, but it's genuine and it has real soul, and all the characters have an interesting little kind of storyline and quite a distinctive character, and it's really nice to be able to work on something like that.
I think the main thing is for me, having seen it, back, and I don't think I noticed it at the time, but seeing the whole story together, you think, do you know what, this feels like a real story. Yeah. Everyone who's in the film, every character, you might know someone like that, or you might relate to that. And there's a lot of times, especially with British rom-coms, I think sometimes they make them aspirational in terms of you want to be that person, you want that girl, you want that life. This has got elements of that, but it feels more like, oh, this is representing something I've dealt with. It feels like the real world. It's not everything's painted rosy, like some films.
I was going to say, we kind of talked about this earlier, actually. We were saying that, one thing about this film is it does feel grounded in a reality. You feel like we've all kind of got mates like this, we've all experienced this. And was there ever a tendency to go, because don't get me wrong, it's not like we're sat with the ugliest guys in the room, let's be honest. But
You've met Jim.
Sorry, Jim. But there is a tendency.
Dark.
There goes the sequel, buddy.
It's all right. I know my place behind the camera. It's fine.
But there is a tendency with these films, the kind of the best-looking guys, the best-looking girls, and it does feel like you're taken away from that reality of you and your mates. Does that make sense? And was that something you were aware of, that this film is very much a reality movie? It's very grounded in this could genuinely be something that happens to us.
And I think from the perspective as an actor, you go into it knowing that. I see my character, and I've met Ryan. I've met this guy before. I've got a lot of similarities with him, and I did never feel like I was ever glorifying or kind of emphasizing anything too much for the sake of the story. It was all very real and not easy to act, but kind of easy to approach in the sense of knowing that was a real human emotion that was coming out.
We'll talk more in just a sec, but first of all, we'll talk about that banter and the thing that you guys have together. Here's a little clip. This is you guys in the club. Take a look. I kind of picture that lot being you guys in the club anyway. Thank God they're iPhones as well. Could have been awkward.
Of course.
I would never leave any of you with my mobile, let's just put it that way. Yeah. Ever. Can we just talk Star Wars very quickly? Because, I know, but, two of you have a massive Star Wars connection. Your dad did Return of the Jedi. Let me just high-five you. God bless
amazing.
You. And you could have been potentially ruined my life because you worked on Revenge of the Sith.
I made props for a few weeks, yeah.
Still ruined my life. It's about 17 years ago. It's time to move on, isn't it? So this is your redemption.
Yeah.
There is a third connection as well.
Oh, is there?
Lucien.
Yeah.
Lucien just stayed in Carrie Fisher's house, didn't he?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm working
Should
with a
we
girl.
stop recording?
No. I'm working with a girl at the moment called Billy Lord, who's a fantastic actress, and her mum was part of the Carrie Fisher. Yeah,
Small world.
So it's just me and you, Chris, that have no connection to Star Wars.
I've seen Star Wars.
I'm with you, buddy.
I like it. It was good.
I'm with you, man.
He does a great Obi-Wan impression.
Well, you can't move on without it now.
Do your Obi-Wan, you should. Everyone's so good at this.
I'm lonely. I've got an excuse. Come on,
Between
you
Two
can't.
Worlds, out this Friday.
Well, let's get back to Between Two Worlds. But first of all, I want to do a little film first things with you, if I can, right? Quick fire round. I want to know the first thing that comes into your head. First film you saw in a cinema.
Taxi Driver.
You have to use the microphone.
Taxi Driver.
God bless you. Chris.
Aladdin.
Nice.
Lion King.
Aladdin got a really big round of applause, which was quite uncomfortable.
He's here tonight.
Lucien?
Lion King.
Lion King, nice.
My
See
younger
how young
brother.
these guys are.
Elliot?
Peter Pan.
Cool.
That's how
all
old
right.
I am.
First,
I think it might have been a re-release.
might have been Hook. First film you walked out of?
Top Gun.
Really? You walked out of Top Gun?
It was at a drive-in in America, and yeah, I actually drove out.
In a jet.
The Incredible Hulk. Or the Hulk, whichever one was the first one with Eric Bana.
The Ang Lee one.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Breaks my heart a little bit, but I'll move on because I like your film. Lucien?
Fury, because I had an argument with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we left halfway through the film, and I was devastated because I think it was such a good
okay.
film.
So you kind of didn't want to walk out of
No,
it.
not at all, not at all. You know, I feel like if I go to the cinema to watch a film, I've got to kind of get
Turn
to
your
the
phone
end
off
of it.
next time. It's always having an argument with an ex-girlfriend. Bad Santa.
You walked out of Bad Santa?
Can't stand it.
Wow.
I
There's
like
a cut.
Billy Bob Thornton and I like Santa, but that film didn't do it for me.
There's a cut called Badder Santa.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, it's twice as rude.
Definitely not watching that.
Fair enough. First film that you had a cheeky snog at?
Don't think I've ever done that.
Really?
Still waiting. Maybe tonight.
I'm not sitting next to you.
I was slightly uncomfortable when Chris went.
Yeah, tight, Jim.
See you in an hour, buddy. We got a premiere in a bit.
I haven't got the date.
Chris?
Made in Manhattan. With Jennifer Lopez.
You snogged
You
Jennifer
snogged her?
Lopez in Made in Manhattan?
No, she was in Made in
Oh, okay,
Manhattan.
fine.
I snogged some
The pillow next
girl.
to it.
Because that would have been the best story in the world ever, just for a split second. Lucien?
I have no idea.
Really?
I have no
Started
idea.
young.
Done it too many times.
No, I don't know why I'm getting sick for that. When I watch a film, I'm just so into watching the film that I just watch the film. I don't, yeah.
What?
Made in Manhattan as well, yes. Yeah, sorry, Made in Manhattan. It was me, Chris.
Elliot?
True Lies.
Nice.
And it was weirdly, it was during the scene, you know, where he's like, is this a snow cone maker? You know, where he's describing the bomb. Oh, it's a coffee machine. It was during that scene. I don't know what turned on the girl so much that she went, what year was that? I was quite
90
young. 95?
90, I'm going 97. If anyone can get the answer before
1942?
the end of the Q&A, that'd be great.
Anyway, I was there.
That was it. Okay, finally, before we let you guys go, because we all have to go to a premiere of this film called Between Two Worlds. You may have heard of it. What was the moment, the scene or the line in the film that you knew this was going to work? You knew you had something special. There was that moment that you just went, we're onto something. This is great. Was there a particular moment, or maybe when you were directing a certain scene, you went like, you know, this chemistry works, this movie works?
I think for me, it was actually before we started. It was when Elliot got the single malt whiskey out in his flat, which we all shared. At that point, I realised it was going to work. Yeah.
Chris?
I was always sure it was going to work, but I'd done a scene with the fantastic Hannah Britland, who's not here tonight. And
She's
it was,
great in this film as well.
yeah,
Phenomenal,
it
yeah.
was down on the waterfront in London, and we were screaming at each other and being really angry, but it was really good. I think after that we both came away going, okay, at least we know we've got that scene. So it's good.
For myself, I think there's a scene where we're in the pub at the end, and it was just a real kind of, it's the end of the film, and it's kind of sums up the end of our journey. And we all kind of go on this crazy journey together, and we come together, and it was just, yeah, I think it was beautiful.
Elliot,
The same for me, actually. That scene, I was going to say, is it was like towards the end of my time on the film, but up to that point, I didn't think, I was like, are we doing well? Is this working? And it was like all three of us together, and we weren't trying to be jokey and take the mick. We were actually quite deep, and I think we were all really in the zone at that moment.
And before I let you go, what's next for each of you? Because I know this is your first film, but it's obviously clearly not going to be your last, because it is a fantastic performance.
We'll wait and see first.
What can we see you next?
I've just shot a film in Ibiza called A Bus Could Run You Over. Nothing to do with buses, really, or being run over. But that should be good. I get to kill Billy Zane. So
That's amazing.
check it out just for that. I'm not spoiling it. There's a book out already, so.
Fair enough. Lucien, what can we see you next?
I think my show, Scream Queens, with Ryan Murphy, that comes out in a couple of weeks in the UK, so I'm excited to see what the British response is to that. It'll be cool.
And Chris, obviously a good year. Legend's done pretty incredibly as well.
Yeah, Legend was great. I'm moving to LA next week.
Ta-da, brilliant. Don't get too used to Chris. You'll only see him on big screens from now on.
Now I'm going to start a film over there in November and then stick around for a while.
And what about for you, sir?
I'm editing a film called Beautiful Devils at the moment, which is a modern sort of version of Othello. So,
Fantastic. Yeah. Seriously, Between Two Worlds, I really enjoyed it. I genuinely think it's a fantastic film. The premiere is a little bit later on tonight. You guys can watch it and download it and go and see it in cinemas very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, the cast and the director of Between Two Worlds.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.